It was already late at night when Hitori Shinso, though could finally retire to his chambers and get some rest. It wasn't a while ago when he just dismissed the meeting between him and his council to address the multiple rebellions going on in his kingdom. Years ago, Queen Mitsuki successfully defeated the southern kingdom of Terra and conquered the whole kingdom as a part of Igneus's territory. However, she decided to let the monarchs of Terra rule the south, given that they serve under her, that they are a puppet monarchy governed by her. The history between Igneus and Terra is not very pretty, and after Bakugou took over his mother's place, rebellions raised here and there, as the new king of Igneus seemed to love taxing his people. Not only did he tax his people in Igneus, he also taxed the people in South, as he depended on the fact that Terra is a part of his territory. All those taxes to fund his conquest against Glacia. The rebellions are slowly coming unstoppable. Shinso could go out of his way to stop a rebellion and go as he turned his back. Another one would start. They would all voice out one thing, and that is for Terra to be freed from Igneus. So when the doors to the war room opened and his advisors came in, he knew he would get another conversation about the issue in his kingdom. Your Majesty, the advisor bowed. What is it? Shinso, who was facing the window, turned to his advisor. I do not mean to be impose, Your Majesty, but as your advisor, I am very willing to give you a good advice regarding these rebellions. Well, seeing that it is your job to advise me, go on, do it. The advisor nodded gratefully. I know that His Majesty does not wish to start a war. Yes, that's right. But if we don't do anything, King Bakugou will continue to feed upon us to fund his war against Glacia, and our people will only suffer greatly. Our kingdom will suffer greatly more than anything else. The advisor continued, the people only need one thing, Your Majesty, and that is for Terra to be an independent kingdom once again, and I may have a solution that does not involve war. Shinso breathed in again and took a few steps away from the window. What kind of solution? He asked, hoping for a menacing suggestion. Well, you see, Lady Erika from the noble house of Nakara was sent in Igneus to be King Bakugou's mistress. I've heard from her parents that the girl went there not only to warm the bed of King Bakugou, but she also hopes to warm the relationship between Igneus and Terra. Shinso raised a brow in amusement. Is that so? Yes, Your Majesty. I believe that Lady Erika succeeded with that, so I think now is a good time for you to approach King Bakugou. So, instead of going to war with Igneus, you're suggesting I'll go and have a talk with King Bakugou? His advisor nodded. Yes, Your Majesty, but you're not going to just have to talk to him. What else to do, you suggest? We are going to have to sign a peace treaty. Bakugou was standing by the balcony when Yin at midnight approached him, all cleaned and dressed up. Bakugou looked down at the carriage circling the front of the palace. Then it came to a stop. Soon Hitoshi Shinso will emerge from the carriage. You two should go now, Midnight said to Yin, as it was time to go down to meet the Southern King. She turned to the blonde. Bakugou, it's time. The blonde swiftly turned and started to walk along with Yin. What do you see, that fucker? Don't talk to him, Bakugou said. Yin is a little surprised that he struck the conversation first, seeing that they hadn't talked to each other for a while because of the tension between them. My God, I keep saying your name. But Yin guessed that Lady Erika must have eased him a little bit. Why? Yin asked. He has a quirk which lets him control your mind if you start talking to him. Of course, but I don't understand why he wouldn't do that in the first meeting. By this time, the two were going down the stairs. That dirty bastard did it to me the first time we met. I barely nearly blew him up. Who says he won't brainwash you for fun? Yin frowned. Maybe it's because you're not so nice, she muttered under her breath. Huh? What did you say? I said I hope he won't brainwash me for fun. It won't be so nice. Hell yeah, it won't be. The events from yesterday were full of attention from what Yin had recalled. She spent half an hour or so in the throne room last night as they discussed what they should do about King Shinso's request. The Southern Kingdom wants to have a talk in the hopes of making a deal with Bakugou to free the Kingdom of Terra from Igneous's rule. Of course, it won't be that easy. The nobles from last night plead with much fervor to Bakugou that he should never, ever agree with Shinso in what he's asking. Bakugou did not answer the nobles. Instead, he told Midoriya to prepare everything for tomorrow's arrival for the Southern King. To say that the nobles were shocked is an understatement. No one knew what's going on in Bakugou's head when he agreed to meet with the Southern King. Yin had no problem with that, but to the nobles of Igneous, it's a different story. Their desensitization to the Southern people is clear. Then Bakugou retreated that night and completely ignored the nobles. They turned to Midoriya for help, but the scholar couldn't do anything. Bakugou's orders are absolute. Soon the two of them arrived at the throne room where Bakugou settled on his throne while Yin sat on the other throne beside him. His Majesty King Shinso from the Kingdom of Terra. As soon as he was announced, King Shinso revealed himself and started walking all the way to Bakugou. Yin observed the purple-haired king as he only fixated his gaze on her husband. When King Shinso stopped in front of them, Bakugou stood and met the Southern King. Yin watched as Shinso went to open his mouth to greet Bakugou, but the blonde beat him to it. "If you play any of your mind games, I won't hesitate to blow you up," Bakugou threatened. Yin's eyes widened and suddenly felt uneasy as how Shinso would respond. Much to Yin's surprise, Shinso merely smirked. "Of course, we can't have that happening now, can we?" Then Midoriya anxiously approached them and motioned for them to go to the war room where they could discuss everything. "This way, please," Midoriya said and started leading them out. The other nobles felt the same anxiety as they watched their king go with the Southern King. When they were finally out of sight, the nobles began to talk to each other to express their worrisome nervousness about the results of this talk between two monarchs. Yin sighed and got up, seeing that she had no purpose in this room anymore. Sadly, she wasn't allowed to participate in the meeting, and so Yin decided to go back to her chambers and wait. Despite her calm demeanor, Yin is nervous. She can only hope that everything will go well. The first thing that Bakugou did when they all sat down in the war room is to glare at the Southern King across from him. Despite coming off as intimidating, Shinso barely flinched and remained the sly smile on his face. The only quitting on their shoes is Shinso's advisor beside him and Midoriya, who is anxiously sitting beside Bakugou. "I suppose you've read my letter, King Bakugou." Bakugou flinched at his formalities. "Cut the formalities, damn extra. You never call me that. And it sounds like you're ready to lose your head by how you speak to me in that fucking letter you sent." "Obviously I'm not." Shinso dragged. I think it's spelled really weird. "I came here to discuss something important. I did not come here with the purpose of losing my own head." "Well, you might as well damn lose it if you don't wait for my decision on the matter again." Bakugou growled and directly ignored the tension from that Shinso's mouth, as he looked like he's trying to contain himself. "Now talk." Shinso's advisor decided to step in. His stuttering filled the room as he got himself ready to speak. "Your Majesty, King Bakugou, as the one presenting His Majesty, King Shinso's concern, I will lay down some of the things we want to address." The advisor started. Bakugou waited for him to finish. "The rebellions, you've heard of them, Your Majesty. There have been uncontrollable uprisings that had manifested these past few months, and it all started when the Kingdom of Terra, as you deemed fit to be part of your territory, and its people as your subjects, was drowned by countless taxes or drained by you, Your Majesty, to fund your war against the Kingdom of Glacia." Bakugou felt the veins in his forehead twitch with the exclamation, "Are you saying it's my fault?" The advisor went quiet. He also froze, with his mouth hung open as he looked like he suddenly forgot what to say next. It didn't help that Bakugou was glaring down at him, the tension becoming thick inside the room. Shinso looked at his advisor. When he found that he could no longer say anything, the purple-haired monarch decided to step in. However, the voice of Bakugou's scholar interrupted and cut through the tension. "What is it that you're suggesting, sir?" Midoriya asked, after the gulp down with a lump of fear stuck into his throat. Ever since the meeting had started, he thanked God that he didn't that he did not stutter. We are suggesting. Shinso's advisor was looking around before he got something out and placed it on the table. It was a parchment. We prepared something that will become the suitable for this issue, regarding the rebellion and is embodies the request King Shinso is hoping to advise. As the advisor pushed the parchment forward, Midoriya caught sight of the form of the document and widened his eyes. He shakily handed it to Bakugou, who is reading the parchment with an unreadable expression. It is a treaty to free the kingdom of Terra from the kingdom of Igneous. You refused? It was once again later that night when Yin found herself surrounded by the nobles and her husband giving them the most awaited news from the day. Bakugou was by the window, one arm leaning and the other one holding a glass of scotch. Yin watched him nod in conversement to Midnight's question regarding the deal that happened between them and Shinso. Her eyes shifted to the nobles, who looked like they were finally able to breathe. They've been giddy since this morning when Shinso arrived, and waited for the meeting between Bakugou and Shinso to end, with their anxiety going through the roof. It didn't help that, as soon as the meeting ended, Bakugou decided not to say anything yet. He locked himself in his study. Midoriya told everyone that Bakugou has some things to think about, that made the nobles go back. And so, tonight, he finally showed himself and revealed what happened during the meeting. Damn right I refused. Do you think I'm willing to lose a territory? Bakugou said and turned to face the people in his room. The nobles nodded slowly in agreement. Midnight did the same. And what of the Southern King? How did he take it? It doesn't matter how he took it. He had it coming. Going here to shove a damn treaty in my face without asking any permission, and had a week resolving anyway. What exactly is his reasoning? Yin asked. The rebellions. Bakugou answered after sparing her a glance. Yin furrowed a brow, waiting for Bakugou to elevate. He blamed me for the rebellions in his kingdom. Yin raised her brow further, doubting if Shinso was really just accusing Bakugou, or maybe her husband really did something that displeased the people in the south, enough for them to rebel. I knew about the rebellions going on in Terra. That's why, only the single reason why I agreed to meet that extra. Bakugou continued. I wanted to deal with this pesky extra trying to get in my way, and I wanted this sly bastard to know that I'm going to deal with the rebellions in his own kingdom because he can't do shit. Well, how exactly are you going to deal with the rebellions in the south when you're not even there? Midnight asked. Yin already had a hunch of Bakugou and what he's going to do. Go to the south, of course. What else? He scoffed. Midnight's eyes widened as she looked at Bakugou, as if he's delusional. Kirishima and Midoriya only smiled sheepishly. They were already aware of Bakugou and his planning. You can't just go there, Midnight argued. Going right into the lion's den is asking for a death wish, Bakugou. They won't try anything. I'll make sure of it. How are you even sure that they're not going to try anything? The King of Igneous going to the south is perfectly opportunity for the southern people to get rid of you, for Shinso to get rid of you. I know that, damn it, Bakugou snapped, and I also know for a fact that the south is not ready for what will happen if they ever try anything. Midnight breathed enthusiastically. How can you even assume they won't try anything? I made a deal with that extra, he said. Shinso? Yeah. I told him I'll go to the south to handle the rebellions myself. If I can't handle the rebellions, I'll give in to his shitty treaty, but in one condition. And what is that? Midnight asked. He'll stay here while I go to the south. Yin tilted her head, her face forming wrinkles as she started to pierce something. You're holding him hostage? Yin said as soon as she realized it. Bakugou pointed a finger at her. That woman is right. If my life is in danger while I'm in the south, their king, who is here in Igneous, will be in danger as well. But of course, don't tell a single shit to the mind-controlled bastard. He probably already knows it. Yin heard Midoriya mutter under his breath. Bakugou heard it too as he went to glare at the scholar who stiffed and held his head down. Also, if those southern bastards dare to try something that might kill me, which is not any damn near possible, they know another war between Igneous and Terra will happen, and they're not ready for war. Their economy has gone to shit, and they're still recovering. Their king also knows they're still not ready for war. Bakugou went on. That bastard is smart enough to know that. That's also why he also retorted to the shitty treaty. The South will not try anything. Shinzo will not try anything. And if they do, I want my armies to be sent there immediately. The room is filled with silence as everyone decided to not speak anything, sensing there is no use in arguing with Bakugou anymore. So Midnight decided to move on and ask something different. And who will be in charge here while you're gone? Who will keep watch of the king? Bakugou looked away and ran his hand in his face. There's really no one there, he muttered to himself, then turned to the people in the room. You will be in charge. Yin was stunned when Bakugou pointed to her again. She almost couldn't believe it. Bakugou was having her in charge again? The last time he did, ugly things happened. She honestly did not expect him to have her in charge again. Yin is suddenly filled with anxiety, but the duty must be done, so Yin nodded slowly. When are you leaving? Midnight asked again. The day after tomorrow, Bakugou answered. Everyone seemed to be satisfied with that now. Except Yin is still overwhelmed. She can't afford to mess up now. Her plan on going Bakugou and everything's good side has been going slow and not so successful. This is another chance for her. And so everyone decided to retire that night. As the people in the room filed out, I think so. It's spelled filled, but I'm guessing it's filed out. Yin took one last look at Bakugou, who was already looking at her. She felt the pressure again. Yin nodded as goodbye and went to her chambers to rest. The next day, after tomorrow, arrived quickly. Nothing much happened before that, except for Yin's dilemma over her big responsibility. She's to take charge of whatever will happen here while Bakugou is gone, and she is to keep a stern eye on Shinzo. Early in the morning, Yin met with Dabi again, who delivered her father's letter. Dabi told her that the King Lin will not expect a reply for now, and so he left Yin with the letter and figured out whatever her father wants her to do now. In the letter, her father had the same reaction as everyone did about the mistress. He did the exact thing everyone had done to Yin regarding it. He warned Yin not to be too composed with the whole mistress thing. Her father wrote that Yin must get on with Bakugou's good side, and the mistress is to clear sighing that she's not. But at the same time, Yin must not bear an heir. He warned that the mistress is a threat. She must steal Yin's purpose if she stays too long. She must get rid of her. The letter ended right there. Yin sighed and decided to set it aside. She will get ready now, as there is something to be taken care of. But before that, she decided to secure the letter so that she can burn it later. There must be no evidence. Let's get ready, Uraraka, Yin told the brunette, who had been waiting patiently. Uraraka was quick to prepare Yin's dress and went to dress her up. Your Majesty, Uraraka called after she fitted the dress on Yin. Before I came here, His Majesty told me that he wants to meet you before he'll depart to the south. Yin whipped her head, even though it says whimpered, I'm guessing whipped, her head to Uraraka. Her eyes widened as she thought of the impossibilities of a Bakugou might want. Nonetheless, she nodded and Uraraka immediately fixed her hair. And soon, Yin was walking down the halls where every servant is busy preparing everything for Bakugou's leave. He will depart any hour now. Ah, Yin! Kirishima appeared and sent her a smile. He's all dressed up, ready to take off. Good morning, Kirishima, she greeted. Ready to go now, I see. Yes, Midori and I are actually nervous on how things will turn out, but the soldiers were taking all sorts of assumes little of me. Well, I do hope you all have a safe trip. Thank you. He grinned, and Bakugou is looking for you, by the way. He's in his study. All right, thank you. Kirishima soon exited himself, and Yin continued to walk all the way to Bakugou's study. When she arrived, she knocked slowly at the door. Who's there? She heard Bakugou yell from the other side. It's Yin. Get in. Yin pushed the door open and she entered. Bakugou was standing by the window of his studies, all dressed. He was putting on his gloves as Yin got inside. He slightly turned to her and saw the last button on his shirt is unbuttoned. Bakugou then turned back to the window again. You asked for me? She stated. Yeah, he said, not tearing his eyes from the window, then let out a breath and looked at her direction. You know what to do. This time, Sparkles. Yin almost forgot that nickname. She nodded her head. Of course. I can't afford to repeat what happened last time. Damn right you can't, he said. Before I go, I will leave something for you to do. Now, oh my god, I can't. Expressions? Sorry, the person who wrote this is not a English native, so I'm having to guess some of these words. Now this is a fucking expansion, Sparkles, since I think you're the sensible one left here. What exactly am I going to do? Bakugou was quiet for a second. He seemed hesitant. Yin waited patiently. Don't argue or agree with this one, he said. Just say it. He let out a breath again. I did say that I'm going to send my whole army to the south if they ever tried anything, but... He hesitated again. He looked conflicted, so Yin decided to speak with what's on her mind. You also don't want to start a war with Terra, am I right? Bakugou took a sharp intake as she said that. Yin then confirmed that was truly what was on his mind. I don't understand. I heard from Midnight that you're also taxing the people from the south, making them suffer, hence the rebellion, and you say you can make them on your own? Oh, take them on your own? Sorry, it says make. Take them on your own if anything happens, and you're suddenly saying you really don't want to start a war? Yin continued, confused by the evolutionist. God damn it, I told you not to agree, but I don't. Oh, but it doesn't make sense. You don't have to understand. Just do what I'm telling you. Fine, but how are you a little concerned after allowing King Shinso to meet you and suddenly stating you don't want to start a war with Terra is still a mystery to me. Bakugou clicked his tongue. Well, damn it, you should have known my father is from the south, woman. I grew up in the south. It's my home as well. Yin pursed her mouth as soon as she realized that. She never knew or never guessed, and how she's scolding herself for it now. And the taxes, I only did what I had to do in order to win the war against Glacia. What I'm doing is all for this kingdom, he said. Yin narrowed her eyes, but decided not to say anything. Although she had a hard time believing in it, she had now confirmed that Bakugou, as cruel as his ways were, also held some sympathy for some things. The fact that he grew up in the south made him consider Shinso's request on meeting him and made him not want to start a war against his home. But still, what's happening right now was caused by his exacting? What is this? I think they're supposed to be evacuating taxes, but it's spelled weird. I'm so sorry. On the people, Yin wanted to tell him that starting wars to gain some territory won't help the kingdom, that he needs to focus on the well-being of his economy and the people as well. Well, what do I do? There will be men from the army and this court that will find an opportunity to start a full-blown war with Terra. I know it because the people here still have some fucking issue with the southern people, he stated. So if they try to push you to send more soldiers and try to trick you that this will be the opportunity to start a war with Terra, do not listen to them. Yin nodded in agreement. You only wait for my word, got it? Yes. Good. He finalized and walked to his desk to fix something of his. Yin noticed the open button again and couldn't help but irk by it. I trust you, Yin. Do not make any mistake again. The tone in his voice put another crushing pressure on Yin again. She inhaled and nodded once again. Of course. Bakugou was ready to go and accept Yin to follow him, but she immediately stepped towards him and stopped him from walking, startling him in the process. It's Yin muttered, pointing to the button. When Bakugou looked confused and looked like he didn't know what to do, Yin took the opportunity to reach out and button his shirt. It's not satisfying to look at. The awkwardness makes Yin want to gag. She then took a step back to distract from Bakugou. The blonde is avoiding her eyes and blushed off what happened as he proceeded to go out of his study, with Yin trailing behind. Now the two of them found themselves outside the palace. The soldiers have all lined up, the carriages were repaired. A horse was brought for Bakugou as he decided to lead for the first day of the travel. It's only take 2 days to go to the south. Many nobles gathered around to bid their goodbye to the king. Yin broke away from Bakugou's side as he got ready to go in and join the crowd. She stood beside her friends. "Look," Mina whispered and pointed to which Yin followed. "She's going as well." Yin saw Lady Erica enter the carriage. She admits that she's a little surprised that Lady Erica joined the trip, but they are going to the south. It is her home after all. The crowd started waving as Bakugou and his troops started a march outside the palace, and Yin, still anxious and pressured, can only hope for the good outcome of these events. Sorry for the little mess ups. If you don't know, if I weren't to read fast, this chapter would have been 48 minutes. Yeah, so I had to read kind of little fast, so sorry for that, guys. But anyways, I love you all so much. Mwah, bye!